chat friend Steve here, out on the road again. I'm going to talk a little bit about obscurity today. Today is, I'm just going to turn the camera around and show you a bit of genuine obscurity. Here we go. This is the road. See the snow blows across it like talcum powder. It's quite cold, and the visibility is not that great. As you can see, there's a fair bit of blowing snow. Snow has stopped, but it's still blowing across the prairie at probably 30 kilometers an hour out of the east. And as I drove down the road today wondering what to think, I saw, well, that snow is obscuring my view. What has that got to do with improving the quality of our life experiences? Well, there's not many people who are going to admit that this kind of cold, it's about minus 17 with a brisk wind, makes it feel very cold. There's not many people who are going to say that that improves the quality of their life experience. However, if it reminds us of the opposite of what obscurity means, which is seeing, being able to see with greater accurateness, that would improve the quality of our life experience as we can imagine, right? More than just imagine, we can actually experience. Because if we can see more clearly, the more we're going to understand. And when I say seeing, of course, that could be, you know, in ancient writings and so on, seeing could also mean perceiving, it could mean understanding, it could mean, you know, in any way sensing to a greater extent, right? Greater sense of clarity. Now, you know, this obscurity thing and not being able to see very clearly doesn't mean things don't exist in the objective world, as I would say. For example, I can't see as far into the horizon today by looking ahead here. However, that horizon is probably still there, because as far as I can see, I will be there pretty soon, and I'll be able to see beyond that. And that will be this video actually running for another few minutes will be testimony to that. So there's something to be learned about obscurity, which is that just the obscured vision that we're seeing is not the full picture. There's more to it, right? There's more to it because we can open our eyes, we can become more sensitive to perception, we can listen more clearly, we can be more objective in our experience of life, and therefore we can learn more, understand more, and of course on the other side, not get deceived, ripped off, frauded, and so on as much, right? So this brings up to I had a discussion the other night with my son about objective and subjective, and we used the example of, you know, objective seems to be outside of us, or at least it seems to be material in some way. Like, I'm looking across the prairie right now and I see some trees without leaves and some houses coming up into the prairie, the acreages. I see stubble all over the place, some snow, a bit of blowing snow. That seems to be outside of me, it seems to be material, and it seems to be very real. And, you know, I could actually show somebody that. I could bring 1,000 people who could see and show them what I'm looking at, and they're going to see something similar, right? On the other hand, I had a dream last night about, it's a funny dream, you know, dreams don't make a lot of sense to me. It's a hodgepodge of ideas that come together. But nevertheless, I remember this image quite clearly. This image of water percolating up through a road, up through a gravel road. I remember telling somebody about that, and they were saying it's not possible for the water to percolate up. It had to be flowing across the road. It was just my perception of it. This was all taking place in my dream once again. And I remember in my dream I devised a mechanism to show this individual that it's possible to have water percolating up through a road base. I did that by creating a plexiglass 2-chambered container where one side of the chamber was higher than the other. And well, it's not completely 2-chambered. It's like a step vase or a step container that had one side of the container higher than the other, and the divider that went down between the two didn't go quite all the way to the bottom. And then I filled up both of those containers with gravel and poured water into the gravel on the high side. And in time, there was water coming out of the top of the gravel on the low side. This, in my dream, proved to the guy who was objecting to my assertion that water could come up through the gravel, that if a similar situation of a clay base underneath that road bed, when it was raining heavily, the water was going up on the cliff, going down, and then coming up through the road. So it's possible. However, that was a dream, right? And I can't actually bring anybody to see that road that I was talking about. I can't, because it just exists. But it was no less real to me. No less real to me. But it was my own experience. So therefore, I would say the objective reality is more real, because it can be verified and tested by many, many people to be seen, right? So, I think part of the getting through the obscurities in our lives is to stay as much as we can with one foot in the objective reality, because that is what's measurable, and that's what we can have discussion with other people, and that's what we can test, and that's what we can have empirical study of. So although we'll constantly be obscured, I mean, life is about that. Life seems to be, right? Life seems to be this never-ending quest for learning, this curiosity, or it can be anyway, individually, and same with us as human beings in general. We're constantly discovering new ground, but yet there's always more to discover. There's always a threshold of obscurity, but in time we break through that obscurity and see a little bit more. But that is the case in the objective world. In the subjective world, though that is a valuable experience, it remains the individual experience, and can be learned from, can be talked about, and in fact, as the example of the dream that I talked about, can be demonstrated. I can actually, you can talk about your dream and describe the unicorns or whatever that you saw, or the water percolating up through the road that you saw, but you can't take anybody to that road. I can't take anybody to that road that I saw in my dream. But I can take them to this road that I'm driving on now and show them the obscurity of it's funny what you see beyond the obscurity. There's a guy here, he's always selling stuff on the side of the highway. It looks like he's got a little granary for sale. He's got it up on blocks with which is no longer obscure. He's sitting on a little hay wagon, a whole little house, an antique house for sale. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, I better pay attention. I'm almost driving off the road here. See, my vision was obscured by my attention being over there. So, anyways, it was great chatting again. Obscurity, in and of itself, I don't think it improves the quality of our lives. However, being aware that there's always the beyond the obscurity, right? The more we can learn, the more that we can discover, the more that we can be objective about and honest about, the more we can listen, the more we can hear, the more we can interact with others and try to understand them, and try to understand ourselves, and try to understand our world. I think, and more than think, from experience, this does improve the quality of my life experience, and hopefully for yours as well, because if nothing else, we get to discover, and I find discovery is fascinating. Once again, great chatting. My name is Steve. I'll sign off for now, and we'll have to talk more about improving the quality of our life experience at another time.